Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ. And make sure you hit that like button because the 2020 season, the third year in this franchise, is now here, and this is going to be the best year yet. Why? Because we're doing this realistic rebuild, and remember, we didn't make many moves this offseason, but one thing we do look forward to is that the players that we finally drafted in the first year, they're finally ready for at least to compete for an MLB spot. And this is your guys' episode to see these guys in spring training, the young guys, the new guys, everybody. And what's cool about this episode is that this is the episode where you guys get involved. So you guys get to be the prospects. Create your prospect below in the comment section. And remember, I went through the offseason only having about 73 guys on in our organization. And there was a reason, because I want you guys to create your prospect. Follow the template I provided in the comments and create your guy. And he might make, you never know, he might be good enough to at least to be rated good enough to be on an MLB squad. I don't know if they'll make the MLB roster. A lot of these guys are just going to be prospects, and you never know how good your guy's going to turn out. We do have a couple of custom prospects from the beginning of this franchise, and I don't know if any of them are really competing for an MLB spot right now, but come next year, I'm pretty sure they're going to be there. So we're showing some spring training action. You can see we had a couple of guys. You see Adam Eaton's first at bat was a hit. Domingo Santana already hit a home run. And this is a lot of, this is a time for evaluation. And here's the thing, Adam Eaton, I'm trying him out at the top of the lineup at the leadoff spot, and you know what? He's actually doing pretty good here in spring training. I like him. I'm moving Brinson down because I don't really, I can't really depend on Brinson to at least get a lot of runs from that leadoff position. He doesn't get on base enough for me, and Adam Eaton gets on base quite a bit. You see how much he killed us the last couple of years, and now we finally got him on our team, so it's going to be a good sign having a guy that can get on base as much as Adam Eaton can. So that's one of the things I'm focusing on this spring training, just like scoring runs in the beginning of games, getting our guys at the top of our lineup to score runs, because we're going to have Josh Bell up there too as well. And Josh Bell's a pretty good hitter. He hovers around 300. And one guy I do want to try at the top of our lineup too is Lucas Sallee. I want to see what he can do. Remember, he's one of the first guys we drafted in our first year player draft, and it's kind of interesting because he's progressed into a really, really solid player. And he has all the tools. I mean, to be honest, he has all the tools. He has decent speed. His speed is like 60 or so. That's not like blazing fast, don't get me wrong, but he's a third baseman. He's not supposed to be blazing fast as a third baseman. And then he's got all the power he needs, and then he's got all the potential. I mean, he's only 20 years old, and I mean, I think he's ready at least to compete at the MLB level this season. He made the All-Star game last year in the minor leagues. He made the All-World vs. USA game, and he did pretty good. Him and Taylor Ward both. And I want to see what both of them can do in this spring training, as Taylor Ward, he has some pretty good power as well. And one guy I do want to keep an eye on is Jahmai Jones. I moved him up to the MLB roster. Remember last year he started out in spring training, and he eventually made the MLB roster, but he got out to a really slow start. So I don't want to rush him back to the MLB level. If he's not ready, I'm not going to put him up there. He has the tools. He has great speed. We don't really have any speed demons. So having Adam Eaton in our lineup, he's definitely going to help here as he gets a hit to left field. So, I mean, this is what we are going to be hoping to see pretty much the whole season, because we're going to need kind of the bottom of our order, the 8th spot, 7th spot. Remember our first year, we had Greg Garcia in the 8th spot, and he actually hit pretty well. But then come the second year last year, he lost his job. We didn't really have stability there in the 8th spot of the lineup. We tried Real Muto there. He was hitting horrible last year, and he had speed as a catcher, so it was pretty valuable, pretty sweet to have him there, but he just didn't deliver. So here you can see Lucas Sallee up to bat. He gets a high pitch to hit, and he drives this one deep here in the late innings, and that's what I'm talking about. He's got the potential to be, I'd say, a 30 home run guy. And I'm predicting that he's going to hit at least 20 this year. Even in his rookie season, I predicted that he's going to win the NL Rookie of the Year. And I think that he's a shoo-in pretty much to start at third base here in this third year. So it's going to be cool to see. We're going to have a couple of young guys at the MLB roster, and hopefully some veterans like I said, the new acquisition of Adam Eaton can come through as he does ground out. Now we're playing Detroit, but he does beat this one out because it's an error. But, you know, a lot of these veterans, we have kind of older veterans, younger veterans too, and Josh Bell, Domingo Santana. These guys are still in their mid-20s. So it's going to be pretty cool to see them grow. Manny Machado is still young. And here's Domingo Santana going deep for the second time in this episode already. This one to right field, driving in 3 runs. And that's what I'm talking about. If we get Adam Eaton on, I think Domingo Santana is going to produce a lot of RBIs from that 3 spot. I love him in that 3 spot because Machado, you know, he's kind of like a 270, 280 hitter. He's not really a guy that's going to hit for high average. Domingo Santana, he hits for high average in this franchise. He's a really good hitter. He has great discipline, and I like him at the 3 spot just because he hits for a better average than Machado. And then seeing what I can have at the 5 spot, I don't really know what I'm going to do there, but Lucas Sallee right here in this game is going to hit there. He does fly out to center field. But one guy I forgot to mention in the offseason that I signed, Greg Garcia. He's a veteran third baseman. He hit 270 in pretty much half the games of the season. He hit 270. It's not bad. And, I mean, if you look at his attributes and look at, you know, his stats over the years, he's actually a decent kind of platoon type of guy. And I kind of like what I've seen from him in free agency. He was really cheap. And you can see here he's up to bat in his first at bat of the spring, and he drives in a run. So, I mean, if he can continue the way he's hitting right here solidly, I think he might have a spot somewhere in the lineup. I don't know if it's going to be every day, if it's going to just be in a platoon role, if it's just going to be for depth. But I do like what he brings. He's 76 overall, and we do need a veteran to come in and possibly take over for some of these young guys because we don't know if we can depend on them yet. Because Lucas Sallee is kind of the one guy we can probably depend on right away. And I think Jahmai Jones, Hassan Diaz, those guys, I don't think they're quite ready. They might be, but I don't know if I can fully depend on them. So here's Greg Garcia coming up in his second at-bat, getting a hit to the left side. So you can see he can hit the ball pretty well as 2 hard line drives as Taylor Ward comes up right behind him and gets a hit to the right side. So, I mean, this lineup is going to produce quite a lot of runs, to be honest, and you can see the potential, and we're just now getting started. And I think having, like I said, Adam Eaton at the time of our lineup as he comes up to bat is going to help out a lot as he hits one to left field and gets robbed on that one. Nice play by the left fielder. But, you know, having these young guys in our organization, we have a lot of actually potential in the infield in Hassan Diaz, Jahmai Jones. We actually have Ronald TRYOUTS we just signed, and these guys are still relatively young. So we're going to have some fun playing with the middle of our infield. And also, you know, our outfield actually has some pretty good prospects as well. Monte Harrison is actually the #1 prospect for the Marlins in real life. He actually came over in the Christian Yelich trade. And I think that he still has a while to go. I can't lie. He's been progressing pretty slowly. He's about 67, 68 overall. I thought he would hit 70s by this time, but he hasn't hit that yet, and I'm looking for him to have a big season in the minors. I don't think he's going to touch the majors at all this year, but we'll see. You never know how much he'll progress. I mean, you never know how well he'll do in the minors as he comes up to bat right here and gets a bloop single to right field. So it's pretty good to see him at least getting the MLB exposure. He's 71 speed. He has good fielding attributes, and I think he's just a solid all-around player. So just look for him to grow in the future. So Manny Machado comes up in the 7th inning. You know he's got power, so he's going to power that one over the right field wall. No surprise here. 332 feet in right field. He hits it 357, and that one's over the wall. So, I mean, that's a pretty short wall that he hit it over. But, you know, here's Greg Garcia once again coming up. He's 3 for 3 in this game. So it's kind of impressive to see a guy that, we signed and it was kind of like a boomer bust guy. He kind of reminds me of Travis Shaw. Remember a couple years ago, Travis Shaw, he was just a regular player for the Boston Red Sox. He wasn't great or anything, but he went to the Brewers and he's actually been like really, really good. And that's what I'm hoping for Greg Garcia to come out to be, but we'll see as Taylor Ward comes up and he drives him in. So, I mean, this lineup, it's pretty deep. I can't lie. It's pretty deep. I'm hoping that, Taylor Ward can actually hit pretty good and pretty solidly throughout the year because I don't really have a veteran catcher. I'm probably going to go out and sign one. I don't know who yet, but I'm probably going to go out and sign one. I don't want to trade anybody because I like our organization. I like where we are with our prospects and how we look, and just giving up assets just to get a catcher, just a veteran catcher at that, I don't really think it's worth it. So we're going to go into this season probably with still Austin Nola. Remember Austin Nola? I mean, he was that guy who came off the bench in the playoffs, hit a home run. I mean, I was like, who is this guy? I pretty much didn't even know he existed on our team. So, I decided to go and look at free agency because I saw that Lewis Brinson actually was struggling in spring training. So I had a couple of options here to sign another outfielder. Max Kepler, we did sign him last offseason, but he proved that, he's not that good. I can't lie. He's not that good. Maybe it was just a bad signing. You never know. You always make mistakes. So I look at a few guys, Cargo. I look at Gomez, and I kind of focus my attention on Josh Reddick. If you look at his stats here, he hit 300 last year. Nobody signed him in free agency after hitting 300. He's 79 overall. He see potential. He is a lefty, but I mean, he hits the ball really well, and his average has always been pretty good. So we actually give him kind of a friendly offer, a player-friendly offer, and we kind of have to negotiate with him a little bit, but we end up pretty much overpaying him a little bit, but more than what he desired. But we do get him signed, and I like having him because he has good speed, he has good fielding attributes, and one thing we didn't have was defense in the outfield, and he brings defense. So I kind of like him kind of platooning with Brinson a little bit because Brinson, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he just got up to a really slow start in spring training. I'll show you the stats coming up. But you can see who's on the mound, Braxton Garrett. And Braxton Garrett is our top prospect. He is an amazing lefty. He throws for pretty good velocity. He has a pretty good changeup. He has pretty good off speed. And I think that he has the potential to be kind of a staple in our rotation going into the future. He kind of reminds me of Harleen Garcia, how Harleen Garcia was actually on the fence to start the season, start our franchise. He actually started out in the bullpen. I decided to give him a chance in the rotation, and he excelled. I mean, he's at 87 overall right now. I think he started this franchise out at 81, maybe 80 overall, and he's up to 87 now. So I think he's doing pretty well as Monte Harrison hits a double down the right field line. So I don't know if I want to rush Braxton Garrett up because, like I said, it always goes back to what I did with Jahmai Jones. I rushed him up. I played him a year early, and it kind of stunted his growth a little bit, and he's not very good at hitting MLB pitching, but, one guy that is just impressive right off the bat is Lucas Sallee, and I think he just shows that he's ready. He's showing the potential. He's showing the flashes. Jahmai Jones, I just never saw the flashes. At least with Lucas Sallee, I see the flashes. So I think he's pretty much shoe in to start here in this season, season 3, 2020, as Manny Machado does pop up to second base. So we're facing the Yankees, and remember, we played the Yankees last year in the World Series. They beat us down, so it's kind of cool to play them once again with Dallas Keuchel on the mound as Josh Reddick comes up, and in his second at bat, he gets a hit to the right center gap, and this is exactly what I was talking about. He can hit the ball well in all areas of the field. He hit 300, 290 a year before that, and I think that he's going to be an excellent asset to us. And you know what? I think I'm actually going to kind of platoon him versus right-handers. I think I like what he can bring to the table. He actually can hit versus left-handers because you see Keuchel is on the mound. So, I mean, he got a triple versus him right there, and he comes in to score. on the air. So here comes Greg Garcia up. He's actually hitting over 400 in the spring, so he's actually hitting pretty well as he comes up with a guy on second here, and he gets a hit, and he's been impressive. I mean, this guy is hitting the ball really well, and you can see that I think our bats are starting to come around this year. I think that was the one thing that kind of held us back last year, as Manny Machado, the former MVP, the reigning MVP, goes deep on that one. Remember, he did win MVP last year, only hitting about 270, 280. I was surprised to see him win it, especially when I had Domingo Santana hitting above him, hitting 300. Justin Bour hit 40 home runs, and I mean, it's kind of surprising, but hey, I mean, whatever works for the MLB, having him as their MVP. So here comes Josh Reddick up late in the game here. One more at bat, but swinging at a pitch in the dirt, and he's going to get thrown out at first base. So now here comes Josh Bell. We haven't seen much of Josh Bell in the spring, but it's because he's hitting pretty well. I haven't really shown him. He's kind of expected to hit that well, so I haven't really shown him too much. I want to show the other guys that, you know, are new to the team, as Monte Harrison comes up, and he hits a ground ball. This one's going to be into a double play, but he's going to beat that one out at first base. And here's Justin Bour. He's going to kind of have a different role with the team. He's, for the first time, he's not going to be starting for the Marlins, coming off the bench, and he and Josh are really going to be competing. They're going to be competing pretty hard, and I want to see them push each other, Josh Bell, because if Josh Bell starts struggling, I mean, like I said, Bour is right there. You know, he's a home run hitting monster, and he's kind of a great asset to have off the bench. And you never know. I'm going to float him around in trade rumors. He's always a guy that can get traded. He is a veteran, so he could probably help a team that's trying to go into the playoffs. So looking at the end of the spring training stats, you can see the stats from some of these guys, like Josh Reddick hit 436 and 40 at-bats. That's actually really, really good. And looking at another new acquisition, Greg Garcia, he hit 433 and 30 at-bats. Manny Machado right behind them, hitting 390. I mean, he had a beastie spring as well. And Ronald Torreyes actually did pretty good off the bench, 353. Josh Bell hit 338 and 74 at-bats. Lucas Sallee hit 329. Good to see him hitting that well. He's going to be a beast. Look at him. I mean, his attributes are good all around the board. Defense, offense, pretty decent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty good to see a guy like that, a young guy that actually is really, really good off the bat. So you can see Monte Harrison actually hit over 300, and look at him. I mean, he has the tools he needs to be great. I just need to see him put that all together in a full season at the minor league level. I think he's been hurt both seasons, so I need to see a full healthy season from him and some consistency, kind of like I saw from Taylor Ward last season. He was consistent the whole year, and he's earned it. He's earned a spot on the MLB roster, as Adam Eaton only hit 240. I'm not really concerned about him. I think he'll be ready to go. Jahmai Jones only hit 220, and that leads me to believe that he's not ready for the MLB yet. He's going to be at the AAA level to start the season. You never know if he's going to move up. He might not, depending on what his performance is like at that AAA level. Lewis Brinson, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. He hit 187, and versus spring competition, especially when they're pitching a lot of minor league pitchers, not the everyday starters in the spring, to hit 187 is pretty bad. And you can see right behind him, we did re-sign John Giavotella for depth, and you know, he's a Miami Marlin legend. He did pretty good the last couple years, just filling in that second base role, and we never really wanted to give him a starting job, but he kind of earned it. I can't lie, he kind of earned it, and he is a wily veteran, so it's going to be good to have him back on the squad. So looking at our rotation here and what they did in the spring, you see Edebrey Ramos, he had a pretty good spring here, 127 whip. Sandy Alcantara, he's one of our top prospects. He didn't have a great spring, but Corbin Burns, we did sign him in the offseason, 136 whip. He was in the free agency. I don't know how, though. He's a really good young pitcher, but he was in free agency, so we did scoop him up. Braxton Garrett actually had a 105 whip, actually pitched pretty good, 22 innings, 17 strikeouts. He actually had a pretty good spring there, but I don't want to rush him, so I'm going to probably leave him at the AAA level to start the season, and I'm sure eventually he'll get moved up, and he'll probably slot into that 4th or 5th spot in the rotation. You can see Dan Straley, I actually only pitched him a third of an inning. I don't know how that happened throughout the whole spring, but somehow he only pitched a third of an inning. So here's what the lineups are going to look like. Adam Eaton is going to lead it off versus righties here. Josh Reddick's actually going to start in the outfield versus righties. I told you I was going to try to platoon he and Brinson and see how they do. Lucas Sallee's going to hit 6. Greg Garcia, he's actually going to start at second base. And the reason why is because, like I said, Jahmai Jones isn't ready. I might go out and trade for a second baseman, a veteran second baseman, or I might look in free agency and see what I can get there. But we'll see how it goes because I don't really know how these guys are going to perform throughout the season. I think they're going to perform pretty well because I do have depth. I mean, that's the thing. I have some pretty good depth. I have guys that can come out off of my bench and in the minor leagues that can come up and help us this season. I think that's something that we haven't had in years past. People that can come up and get moved up, get moved down, and still perform pretty well. Before we had to sign veteran free agents, and that's not the approach that I'm going to go with this year, this season, because remember Danny Valencia, Adrian Beltre, I mean, we had all these guys we had to keep signing, and some worked out, some didn't, but that's not what I'm going to do this year. I'm going to pretty much move up within. We're going to make few trades. If we do need to make a trade, we will make one, but you can see how our bullpen shaped out. Bartolo Colon Jr. actually is going to move into a setup role, and you see he went on a diet. And it wasn't a normal diet. It was the Bartolo Colon Sr. diet. And he did gain a little bit of weight, looking like his daddy just a little bit. So it's going to be funny to see him now with that new body type. So you guys don't want to miss any action. Remember to submit your recruit down low and get involved in this because you guys are going to be prospects filling out our organization, our 90-man organization. And I can't lie, some of you might be at single A, some of you might be at double A, a couple of you might be at triple A, you never know, and starting, you never know. So hit subscribe, hit that like button, fill out that recruiting form below, and get into the game. And I'll see you guys next episode for the opener. So let's get it. We're going up against the Brewers actually, so it's going to be a pretty good game. So let's get it. Let's go.